Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gretchen and today I am here to give you my two predictions for the Women's Prize for Nonfiction and the Women's Prize for Fiction. So this is just going to be a hopefully very quick video. I have talked ad nauseum about all of these books with the exception of one, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But I figured I would start with my nonfiction prediction, and just as a reminder, the books that are shortlisted for the prize are How to Say Babylon from Safia Sinclair, Codependent by Madhumita Murgia, Doppelganger by Naomi Klein, Thunderclap by Laura Cumming, All That She Carried by Tia Miles, and A Flat Place by Noreen Masood. Now, when I think about the Women's Prize for Nonfiction and what I think is going to be the winner, this is actually really tough to do because all of these books are so different, and nonfiction is always going to be a difficult category to, I think, judge on because there are so many different kinds or formats to nonfiction. So we have a couple memoirs here, we have a couple historical nonfictions, we have some definitely science-based ones, we have some ones that lean more toward political, and at the end of the day, it all comes down to what type of book the judges want to put forward. And that's of course the same for any book prize, but this is so different because I have to think, well, is it going to be a memoir? Does the prize winner need to be science-based? Like, there are so many different things to take into consideration. So when thinking about what I think the winner will be, or what I think has the best chance, first of all, I just want to say that all of these books were really good, and every single one of them absolutely deserves to be on this list. And that's something that I very rarely say when it comes to book prizes. There's always one book, sometimes two, sometimes three books that I just shake my head and say, how on earth could this have possibly made it through to the second round? But every single one of these books has merit, has value, and very well could walk away as the winner. And I am struggling so hard to pick from them. But if I had to talk about the books that are going to stick with me and stay with me, there are two specifically, one being Thunderclap. I went into that book not having high expectations for it, but I cannot believe how much and how deeply that book moved me, and it is likely not one that I will forget for a very long time. And the second was How to Say Babylon by Safia Sinclair. That memoir is hands down the best memoir that I think I have ever read. It has stuck with me from the moment that I finished it, and that was actually the first book from the long list that I finished. So for that book to still be sticking with me, I think that that has a lot to say about how fantastic that book was, how raw and sharp and just beautifully written that book was. I just cannot say enough good things about it. However, if I had to make a personal pick for what I think I would want to be the winner, it would definitely be How to Say Babylon. So that's my heart pick, but if I had to go with my brain, I'm gonna have to go with Doppelganger by Naomi Klein, only because I think that that book is very current. It is definitely on a buzz list of books that really tie into our current affairs and our current politics. And it was definitely a unique book, and it was a book that really had a lot of very important things to say. But unfortunately, it was a book that didn't fully work out for me. But I honestly think that that is just me personally. I have talked to so many people that have just opened my eyes to the importance of that book and what the author was truly trying to say. And sometimes when we read books, we don't necessarily interpret them in the way that we should. And that's why I love book prizes like this, and why I love this community, because we're able to have those tough conversations with each other to point things out and make each other see something that maybe we overlooked. And I think when we look at a book like that, even though it wasn't my favorite, and I do think that there were a lot of fundamental flaws with the book, even though the content was good and it was presented well, I just didn't think at the time that there were enough solid reasons for me to make it the winner. After hearing so many people defend it and stand up to it, I definitely think that it's going to be a book that the Women's Prize will consider, and I ultimately see them making it their winner. And now to talk about the Women's Prize for fiction. So full disclosure, I am still actively reading one of the shortlisted titles. I'm probably about maybe an hour and a half away from finishing it, but unfortunately I had to get this filmed before I will be able to finish it. So I am still take, this with a grain of salt that I have yet to officially finish Brotherless Night by Vivi Ganashanathan. However, I have completed the other 5 shortlisted titles, those being River East, River West by Aubrey Lescure, The Wren by Anne Enright, Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy, Restless Dolly Maunder by Kate Grenfell, and also Enter Ghost by Isabella Hamad. Now, this is another tough decision to make. I didn't hate any of the books that were shortlisted. There weren't any that I was just really unsure about as to how it could make it to the short list. I understand the arguments for all of them being there. However, there were 2 that I just felt were a little weak for the short list, and the first of those was Restless Dolly Maunder by Kate Grenville, and then The Wren by Anne Enright. Now, the difference between the 2 is I actually think that The Wren is gonna win. I think that it has a very good chance of winning, just because it's Anne Enright, and 2, because it is a beautifully written book and it really expounded on the talent that Anne Enright has. I found it to be plotless. I found it to be a very boring read, and it was one that was kind of a slog for me, but I think that it will hit all of the marks for a lot of readers, including the judges. So if I had to guess what I think they're going to choose, it would be The Wren by Anne Enright. However, there are 2 that I really considered and talked myself out of. The first is Brotherless Night by Vivi Ganashanathan. I think that this is a fantastic book. Now, because I didn't finish it, that could change, but I don't think there's anything that's going to change my opinion on the book. This has been a great experience with it from start to finish, but the only trepidation that I have of picking it as the winner is that it just recently won the Carol Shields Prize. So I don't know if there's going to be a book that is going to take two prestigious prizes like that, especially since, you know, the Carol Shields Prize is women based as well. So kind of why I am leaning to a different book, because I think that the Women's Prize will likely give another book a chance. One of the other books that I really think stands a solid chance, and given any other book prize aside from the Women's Prize, I think could easily be the winner, and that is Enter Ghost by Isabella Hamad. And I say that this isn't what I see as the right winner for the Women's Prize, because the Women's Prize tends to be more safe, and it tends to be more commercial, and it tends not to ruffle too many feathers. And with everything that is going on right now in the world and what's going on between Israel and Palestine at the moment, I just don't know if the Women's Prize wants to make that statement. I know that they've made a statement up till now by, first of all, long listing and short listing, but I just don't know if they truly want to take it the whole way and name the book as their winner. I certainly hope that I'm wrong and that they're not taking those types of things into consideration, but as much as I would want to see them name it, there's just that little gnawing in my gut that tells me they're just not ready to do something so bold. So unfortunately, that's ultimately what made me decide not to choose Enter Ghost. And the other book that I really wanted to win, because it was my personal favorite, was Soldier Sailor by Claire Kilroy. I loved that book. I absolutely adored it. But at the end of the day, I'm still going to say that I think, as much as I hate to say it, the Wren is going to take the Women's Prize this year. So I'm really curious to see what happens. I think it's exciting that we are actually going to get two prize winners tomorrow. So I think that that's interesting. I wonder how they'll manage the awards, whether or not they'll, you know, announce them back to back, whether or not they'll do a whole, you know, ceremony separate for nonfiction and then do another ceremony for fiction, or, you know, just announce both back to back. I'm not sure. I guess we'll see tomorrow. And until we read again, bye.